It started with a joke. That's how most betrayals dress themselves. Light-hearted, harmless, spoken like a tease over drinks and candlelight. But when she said it, when she laughed and gestured across the table with her wine glass, it landed like a blade. "He pays for everything," she said, voice lilting, eyes twinkling for the audience. Not for me. The table laughed. A snort from her best friend. A smirk from her coworker. Even her little brother, barely 20 and already dripping in smug entitlement, nodded like it was obvious. I sat there, chewing, tasting nothing. The steak I'd ordered bled into the mashed potatoes, but the real thing bleeding was me. It was her birthday. A rooftop restaurant she'd chosen. The kind where the prices don't show on the menu because they assume you're not the kind of man who asks. I used to love that. I used to love her. But love is a quiet thing, and humiliation loud. She didn't even look at me when she said it. He pays for everything. Like I wasn't there. Like I was just the wallet beneath the suit jacket. The waitress, Claire, I think, was standing a few feet away, pretending not to hear. But I saw the flicker in her eyes. That little wince, like she'd seen a dog get kicked. She walked away quickly. Good waitress. Professional. But her eyes had stayed on me for a second longer than they should have. I should have smiled it off. That's what I used to do. Laugh, nod, say something about how real men take care of their own. But I didn't. Not this time. Because something in me shifted. Like a chair tipping back just far enough for gravity to make the final call. The truth was, it wasn't just the joke. It was every joke. Every subtle dig. Every comment about how lucky I was to have her. How she let me marry her. How I'd peaked when I put a ring on her finger. God, how many times had I laughed along, thinking I was being secure, being modern, being easygoing? That night, she wore the necklace I gave her on our anniversary. The same one she once forgot in the back seat of an Uber on her way to some team-building retreat. I remember getting it back through a stranger who messaged me on Facebook, saying, "Hey, found your girl's necklace. Thought you'd want it." He didn't say it, but he knew. And I knew too. We just never said it out loud. So when she raised her glass for a toast and said, "To my amazing husband, who pays for everything and asks for nothing," everyone clinked glasses. Except me. I just looked at her. Really looked. This woman, so polished, so praised, so adored. Who hadn't paid for a meal in 2 years. Who once forgot my birthday and swore it was because she was managing 3 projects and a household. Who told her friends I was too safe, too quiet, too reliable, as if those were flaws. She hadn't noticed I'd stopped refilling our joint account 3 months ago. Hadn't noticed her cards were now drawing from the emergency fund I built in college, years before we met. Hadn't noticed I was documenting, screenshotting, preparing, just in case. And it wasn't even because I was sure she was cheating. That would have been easier. Cleaner. It was worse than that. It was the slow, grinding erosion of respect. Hers for me, and mine for myself. Dinner carried on. Courses came and went. I barely touched mine. She laughed louder with each glass of wine, her hand occasionally brushing my shoulder like I was an accessory. A trophy in a chair. Every once in a while, someone would toast her brilliance. Her ambition. Her beauty. No one toasted the man who paid for the view. I excused myself after dessert. Told her I was stepping out for air. She waved me off with a distracted smile. "Don't be long," she said. "The check's on its way." I found Claire, the waitress, at the back hallway near the staff lockers. She looked startled when she saw me. "Everything okay?" she asked. I nodded. "Quick question," I said. "Do you know who's covering the check for our table?" She hesitated. "It was noted as yours, sir." I smiled. Not bitter. Not smug. Just calm. "Can you change that?" She frowned. "To who?" I handed her my card. "Split it. Put her orders, drinks, dessert, everything, under her name. The rest, I'll cover. And add a generous tip." She blinked. "Sure," she said. "I can do that. And one more thing," I said. "Do you have a pen?" She handed me one. I pulled off my wedding ring, flipped over the receipt slip, and wrote, "Thanks for the show. Tell him he pays for everything now." Then I slid the ring next to the tip. Claire stared at it, then at me. "Are you serious?" I nodded. "Tell her I left with the waitress." She froze. "Wait, are you actually?" But I was already walking away. I didn't wait to see her face. Didn't care how loud the scene would be when she saw the bill. When she realized the man she thought she owned had just handed back the leash. All I cared about was that ring. lying there. Cold, gold, final. And the look in Claire's eyes as she realized this wasn't a tantrum. It was an exit. I didn't take the elevator. I needed the walk. 10 floors of quiet, concrete stairs where each step felt like a page turning. The sounds of the restaurant faded behind me. Glasses clinking, forks scraping plates, laughter that wasn't mine. By the 4th floor, I'd loosened my tie. By the 7th, I'd taken it off completely. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I wasn't going back. It wasn't rage. It wasn't even heartbreak. It was relief. Like the silence that follows after your ears finally stop ringing. For the first time in years, I wasn't the one holding the structure together. I wasn't patching holes with apologies or painting over cracks with blind generosity. I was just done. Outside, the air was cool. Autumn was slipping into winter, that in-between chill that makes you pull your jacket closer even if you're not cold. I stood on the curb and watched as cars passed by, headlights streaking across my shoes. And then I heard the door open behind me. Footsteps. Not heels. Sneakers. Claire. She walked up slowly, clutching her coat tight. "Hey," she said. "I'm off now." I turned, surprised. "You didn't have to come down." She shrugged. "Didn't feel right, letting you disappear like that." I almost smiled. "Most people do." She tilted her head. "You okay?" It was such a simple question. And maybe that's why it hit harder than it should have. Not, "Are you angry?" Not, "What happened?" Just, "Are you okay?" I nodded slowly. "I will be." We stood in silence for a moment. The streetlights hummed above us, and I noticed she was holding something in her hand, a small envelope. She followed my gaze and held it out. "You forgot your card," she said. "And this? I figured you'd want it back." Inside was the ring. My ring. I stared at it. The metal felt heavier now, like it had soaked up everything I'd poured into that marriage. The hope, the patience, the blind, bruising loyalty. I didn't take it. "Keep it," I said. She looked startled. "I can't. It's not for you," I said, shaking my head. "It's a receipt." She didn't press, just nodded, slipped it back in the envelope and tucked it away. Then, almost shyly, she said, "Do you want to grab a coffee? I know a place that's open late. No pressure." And I could have said no. I probably should have. But there was something in her voice. Not flirtation, not charity, just kindness. And I realized I hadn't had that in a long time. Not the kind you pay for. Not the kind with conditions or calendars or Instagram filters. Just kindness. So I said yes. We walked 3 blocks to a quiet little spot that smelled like cinnamon and old books. She ordered for both of us. Black for her, cream and sugar for me. I didn't correct her. She got it right anyway. We sat in a booth by the window. She didn't ask what happened. I didn't offer. Instead, we talked about music. About how she played cello in college. About how I once drove 6 hours to see Springsteen live, and it rained the whole time. About little things, the kind of things my wife used to roll her eyes at. Claire laughed when I told her about the time I burned an entire batch of cookies trying to impress my ex's parents. Said something about how the best people are the ones who burn cookies but still try again. And somewhere between her smile and the steam rising from her cup, I realized something. This wasn't a rebound. This wasn't revenge. This was breath. This was space. This was the first hour of my life that didn't revolve around her. Around us. After the coffee, we walked outside. She offered a ride. I declined. I needed to walk. She understood. She reached into her coat, pulled out the envelope again, and opened it. The ring sat there, quiet and still. She looked at it, then at me. "I'll leave it with the cashier," she said, "if you ever want it back." And with that, she was gone. I walked the long way home that night. Past shuttered shops and flickering neon signs. Past the bakery where we used to pick up croissants on Sunday mornings. Past the bookstore she never let me finish browsing because she was always in a rush. I passed through every corner of our life and realized how little of it was ever mine. When I got back to the apartment, it was quiet. She was sitting on the couch, barefoot, glass of wine in one hand, the check in the other. I could tell she'd cried. The mascara smear wasn't elegant this time, just messy and real. The look she gave me wasn't angry. It was scared. "You left," she said, voice small. "I did." "With the waitress?" I nodded. "Her name's Claire." She scoffed, shaking her head. "Unbelievable." "What is?" I asked. "That I left with someone who treats me like a person? Or that I didn't come running back when the check hit the table?" Her eyes flashed. "You embarrassed me. In front of everyone." I stayed calm. And how do you think I've felt for the past 2 years? That shut her up. I walked past her, into the bedroom, grabbed the small duffel bag I'd packed a month ago, just in case. I'd hoped I wouldn't need it. But some part of me must have known. I picked it up, zipped it slowly, felt the weight of the years inside it. She followed me to the doorway, arms crossed. You're being dramatic. I laughed. Not bitter, just tired. You don't even hear yourself. You're just mad because I said you pay for everything. I turned. No, I'm mad because you meant it. She opened her mouth, but I kept going. That wasn't a joke. That was your truth slipping out. And the truth is, you haven't seen me in a long time. Not really. I became your furniture, your funding, your fallback. She stepped forward. So what? Now you're going to date some waitress. I looked her dead in the eye. No, now I'm going to be alone. And that sounds better than being invisible. I walked to the door. Her voice cracked behind me. I didn't mean to. I know, I said. That's the saddest part. I left. Again. But this time, I didn't walk into silence. I walked into freedom. 2 weeks later, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Just a cashier's stamp on the back. Inside, my ring, wrapped in a napkin with 3 words scribbled in ink. You were seen. Claire. It sat on my desk for days. I didn't wear it. Didn't throw it away either. I wasn't sure what it meant yet. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. But there was something powerful in it. Not romantic. Not suggestive. Just respectful. Word got around, of course. Her friends dropped off one by one. The coworker she'd been texting, the one who accidentally left his jacket in our coat closet once, stopped replying when I forwarded his wife the screenshots. Quietly. No explosion. No scene. Just the facts. She tried to call. I didn't answer. Tried to guilt me. Said I'd abandoned her in front of people who mattered. I never told her the truth. They only mattered to her. And even then, only until the check arrived. The last message she sent was short. Just a photo. My ring. Still in her hand. Tip slip next to it. She'd taken a red pen and circled my name. Underneath it, she'd scrawled, "You win." But here's the thing. I wasn't playing to win. I was playing to leave. And she never saw it coming. Because she never really saw me. But Claire did. Even if it was just for a moment. Even if all I left behind was a receipt, a ring, and the sound of someone finally walking away, not in anger, but in truth.